Okay, so welcome to our long-awaited hurricane forecast for the 2022 season. We're going to do the Atlantic Basin, but also talk a little bit about the Eastern Pacific. We're expecting some kind of above normal activity. We'll talk about the zones as well, which are also on here, and also the factors of what's coming into this hurricane forecast overall. Again, we were expecting active season for the Atlantic Basin and probably perhaps some below normal activity for the East Pacific. We'll go more over that again as well, and we'll also go over the names as well. So you'll know what names will be used this year for both the basins as well. Here is the naming list for both the basins. For those that are in parentheses, or those are part of the Eastern Pacific names. So Agatha, Blas, Cecilia, Darcy, Estelle, Frank, Georgette, and so on. Whatever's under parentheses, basically, again, it is Eastern Pacific names, and those are not, Alex, Bonnie, Colin, Danielle, Earl, Fiona, Gaston, Hermine, Ian, Julia, and then so on again. Those are Atlantic names. The Atlantic doesn't have these three names, but this is actually the Eastern Pacific naming list, so yeah, that's why they're here. So yeah, those three extra names, Xavier, Yolanda, Zeke, again, those are Eastern Pacific names and not Atlantic names for this upcoming season. So yeah, we have, again, we're acting, so we're also going to look at the factors for, our upcoming potentially busy hurricane season, just like the past several seasons have been, at least across the Atlantic. So we'll talk into that as so looking at this chart here, this is actually going to be one of the factors we're talking about into our predicted to be a busy Atlantic hurricane season, and perhaps less activity in the Eastern Pacific. So here it is. We're expecting a La Nina to continue through the summer and hurricane season months. As you can see right here, again, a La Nina is when we're seeing below normal temperatures in the Nina region, which we can see right here. So that'd be like the Pacific Ocean, perhaps near the equator. If you don't already know what that is. But again, we're seeing below normal sea surface temperatures, which technically is La Nina. And we're expecting that to continue again through the hurricane season. We'll go over a map to see what usually happens during such a La Nina in both of the basins, which we have a map of. Okay, so here's what a typical La Nina season would look like. So of course that means a busier than normal Atlantic hurricane season. As you can see right here, more hurricanes. That would be due to the weaker vertical wind shear, and the atmosphere over the Atlantic is more unstable. So that's what this is technically is. And then across the Pacific, we could see fewer hurricanes, not only due to the cooler and drier weather that La Nina typically holds, but also due to the stronger wind shear. So that overall means that we're expecting a more inactive than normal, at least, Pacific hurricane season, but we are going to see a few storms in the East Pacific. They're probably going to steer clear of landfall in the U.S. as most of the time they do, of course. And there's only been a number that actually have, but those, even then, the storms are weak, and because, the winds as well as the cooler waters, they typically don't support the landfall in the southwest, so that's why we can see that dry weather throughout really the entire year across southwest. That's one of the reasons. So now the main map you've been waiting for, which really ties into our La Nina influence and everything. So here it is. Again, the map we've been all waiting for. We're gonna go through the zones in a little detail. So the main thing, of course, is the active track we're expecting in the Atlantic, which ties into our La Nina and the factors, of course. Which means there's also a heightened landfall threat across the Gulf and East Coasts. And that could potentially lead to a Gulf of Mexico hotspot. If that happens, we could also see that extend a little bit into Mexico as well. less activity would probably occur, over here, in the Caribbean. And of course, we can't rule out that potential either. There's just gonna be less activity there than there would usually be. But the active part will really just take place, from where storms originate from Africa, and then heading westward. And then, we have these storms, all over the place here, maybe even here as well, with a heightened landfall throughout the coasts. There could be some, activity more active, perhaps, to the north of that, but not really much farther than that. And then some activity could also be occurring if storms do happen to turn right to the north sooner, in this blue region right here, which we probably will see, in fact. So that too. And then talk a little bit about, landfall chances, anywhere across the Pacific. Of course, the Baja California, not the state of California in the U.S., but, the Mexican province, really the southern part of it, has a half chance of seeing landfall potential of really any storm. Not as much lower to the north. I really don't think that'll really happen, especially considering the low activity we could be seeing in this basin as well, this season, which overall ties into less storms than usual across the East Pacific, because of the La Nina, of course. So the U.S. could see, some landfalls as well on the coasts. Wouldn't be surprised if, an inland tropical storm, although not really far-reaching, of course, could occur, in this country as well, especially if it's coming from the Gulf of Mexico, which again is labeled as a potential hotspot for storms to develop at some point, especially as we head in more into peak hurricane season across the Atlantic and the Gulf. So there's really not much else to say. If you're new to this channel, we also do weather forecasts overall and live coverage. Also, do please consider that this is an unofficial forecast. This is not official, nor do we intend it to be. This is just my thoughts on our upcoming season. So yeah, if you like today's forecast, please do consider subscribing, as we do other forecasts as well, as just said again, and liking this video, because we'll also go over hurricanes that do happen to threaten the U.S. at some point. Yeah, stay safe, and tune into other forecasts as well. Again, this unofficial hurricane forecast, really for this season. Run that, have